If you were absent on Thursday, October 15th, here's what you missed. First, we did 2 new vocab words. So if you are an in-person kid, you can catch those up whenever I post the key tomorrow. If you are a VIP kid, you can access that through the Lesson 3 VIP and go through Nearpod. After that, we worked on Flowers for Algernon task cards. So that's going to be here under Flowers for Algernon inferences. You'll open that file up and open it so you can edit it in Kami. And this is very similar to what we did yesterday with the inference cards, except this time they are all about Flowers for Algernon instead. So we have an example up here for you. We use the one from your quiz, which is when Miss Kinnian is looking at Charlie kind of funny, and she says, "I'm a fine person and I'll show them all." So she read his progress reports, and then she says she got something in her eye and she ran off. So the question is, why does she look at Charlie funny, and what really happened when she got something in her eye? So our answers over here are, she looked at him funny because she knows that his friends are making fun of him and realizes that he doesn't get it. So it's kind of like giving somebody that really sympathetic look, like, and then she doesn't really have something in her eye. She's crying. And then over here, you'll highlight the things that helped you make that decision. So for me, when she says, "I'm a fine person and I'll show them all." If somebody tells you, like, you know what, you'll show them, like, that sounds like she's angry at the people who are treating Charlie like that. And she also says, right after Charlie says they never did anything that wasn't nice, that's when she starts to cry. So it's when he defends the people who are being mean to him that she gets upset. So I highlighted that part. And then to show kind of that cause-effect relationship. And she had to run out. So she had to leave because she didn't want him to see her crying. So you'll highlight the things that helped you make your decision. There are 7 of these task cards. So you'll answer the questions at the bottom, type your answer in a text box, and highlight the clues on the left. So you do that for all 7. And then we copy pasted the dynamic and static character definitions over to our glossary. So you'll open up this Flowers for Algernon static and dynamic characters. You can follow the directions on slide number 1 for how to copy paste slides. We've done this a couple times now, so hopefully it's becoming more familiar to you. So you'll copy paste those slides, slides 3, 4, and 5 into your glossary after character. And then you'll use these slides to examine how Charlie is a dynamic character. So a dynamic character is one who changes throughout a story, and a static character is one who doesn't change. And you can remember that by static stays the same. So the Beast in Beauty and the Beast to be dynamic, he changes from like a literal monster to a nice person, as Belle kind of treats him kindly. Simba in Lion King, he changes. First, he's like a cocky little kid, and then he gets pretty depressed after his dad dies, and then he goes back and he claims his spot as king. Scar in The Lion King is not dynamic. He's the same goals from the beginning to end. He wants to kill his nephew and be king, and he never really, feels remorse for his actions. He's just bad from beginning to end. You'll do this example listing some static and dynamic characters in Moana. So you can list a couple here, think through the characters who change and the characters who stay the same. And then this is kind of like a racist prompt, except we formatted it a little bit differently. So up here at the top, I've given you the restate and the answer. So Charlie Gordon is a dynamic character because he changes drastically throughout Flowers for Algernon. You are going to choose a piece of evidence that shows that Charlie is a dynamic character, use a direct quote, and set it up with a dialogue tag. So here are some frames that will teach you how to appropriately introduce your quotes. So you can say, like, when this happened in the story, this character said to this character. It's like when Moana's debating about whether she should put her stone on the pile, she says to herself, "What is wrong with me?" Or you can kind of figure it as like before, during, or after something that happened. So before she crosses the reef, after her grandma shows up in stingray form, during your welcome. So you can kind of set up the quote so that your reader, me, knows where the quote came from and isn't just left to try to figure out like who's even talking or when in the story did this happen. So you will introduce your quote with a dialogue tag and copy paste it in here. Make sure you include the page number as well. And then you'll explain the quote. So how does it prove that Charlie is a dynamic character? So you want to think about how he's changing. So before he would do this, but now he would do this. Please just don't write he's changing. This shows that he's changing. You have to explain like what's the difference that you see here. I've written the summary part for you at the bottom. So because of his surgery, Charlie changes quickly over the course of the short story, making him an incredibly dynamic character. So I've restated what I have up here, but I haven't used exactly the same words. So when you put all this together, you would have a paragraph about dynamic characters. You're going to have to turn this in via your glossary. So that will be like after you copy paste everything into your glossary, you'll have to turn it in here. And I will just grade that one slide. So I'm not looking at anything else. I'm just looking at the one slide about Charlie being a dynamic character, and I'll grade it with a rubric and get it back to you. But that's where you'll have to turn it in, is up here under Language Arts 8 Glossary. There's a test on Flowers for Algernon tomorrow. It's 20 points. There's nothing that you really need to do to study for it. Just be familiar with the story. I think that's it. So we'll see you when you come back to school, or if you're a VIP kid, you'll keep trucking along at home. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email or use my contact form or leave a private comment on whichever assignment it is that you're struggling with. Have a good day.